everybody, it's Heather Sides. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in Spokane, Washington. I come to you live every Wednesday night with 3 new projects to share with you and show you how I made them. I hope you guys are having a great night. If this is the first time you've joined us, welcome. I'm glad that you found your way to us. And if you are returning, thank you for returning. I love the little community that we're building, and you are a big part of that. So, I am running a couple minutes behind. I took a little nap tonight because when I'm all done here, I have a bunch of work I do on the back end of the video, posting things and such. And then after that, I have to go back to work to get some stuff finished up. So I thought, okay, I'm going to take a little nap before my live. Set an alarm. My alarm went off, and then I promptly fell back asleep. Woke up at 5:59. So I'm scrambling to try to get everything to you guys. Adjust this just a little bit here. So give me just a second. I'm gonna get this pulled up on my monitor so that I can see your comments. Let's see what we've got going on here. Okay, perfect. Hey Marcia, hey Kathy. Welcome, welcome. Okay, and I can see my comments this week. Last week was really weird. I could not see any of your comments the entire time. Hey Nancy, welcome. I couldn't see your comments the entire time. But later when I went back in, I could totally see everything that you guys said and all the comments. I don't know what was going on there. So, but I'm glad I can see your comments this week. As you can see, Lucy is going crazy behind me. My neighbor has something in their yard that I can't see. I can't figure out what it is. She's been barking all day at the fence. She sees something. I don't know what it is. They have dogs, but it's not the dogs. I don't see them. So I don't know what Lucy's problem is today. So Jackson's a bit under the weather. I was hoping he would be awake so that he'd bring the baby out so I could give you guys a little update on how she's doing and show her to you. She is doing really, really well. She, for those of you who missed it last week, Jackson found a 4-week-old kitten by the side of the road and brought it in, and we were gonna, take care of it and get it to a shelter, blah, blah, blah. Well, we have become its shelter, and she is now part of our home. Her name is Goblin, and she is adorable, but she was very, very, very skinny, all just bones, and it was just very tragic. She is doing very well, and this week she got herself up to 1 pound. We're supposed to weigh her daily to make sure she's gaining weight. So he weighs her on my postage scale, and yep, she's a pound now. So she's doing very, very well. Let's see. I hope he feels better too, but thank you, Marcia. I don't know what he's got going on. Hi, Joyce, welcome. So anyway, if you are new, let me tell you about a prize that I do every week. Every week I do a drawing for everybody who's participated in the conversation. I love when we get conversation going. Hey, Robin, welcome. I love when we get conversation going, whether you are talking to each other or to me, asking questions, offering suggestions, any of that. That's what helps build our little community. It also helps to tell the algorithm that, hey, people are participating in this and enjoying this, and it gets my name out there a little bit more. But I really do like the community that it helps to build. So as an incentive to participate in communication, I do a drawing every week, and I do my drawing. I do it just a couple hours before I go live, so that even if you aren't watching this live, you can still participate. If you're watching a replay on Facebook or YouTube, or even if you are just a little bit quiet, you don't want to really get into the conversation piece, all you have to do is leave a comment that says hi and tell me where you're from. I love to hear where everybody's from. And everybody who makes a comment of any type, your name will go into the drawing that I do next week right before I go live, and I will award that prize in next week's live. I do this every week, so I love to hear from all of you. So I'm gonna get this camera turned around. Oh, let me tell you about a couple specials really quick before I turn the camera around. So first of all, our new September through December mini catalog is going to be coming out September 1st. It is amazing. I got a sneak peek at it. It has some awesome Christmas sets in it if you're looking for ideas for your Christmas cards. It's got some neat fall sets, some kind of just general sets, a New Year's set even. So if you don't have a demonstrator that you are already working with and you would like a copy of that catalog, let me know. I'd be happy to mail one to you. You can email me one at stamphappenings@gmail.com, or you can send me a private message here on Facebook at Stamp Happenings or Heather Sides, and just let me know. Give me your mailing address so that I can mail it to you. Like I said, that goes live at the beginning of September. We also have a special going on this month where our kits are on sale. If you haven't done any of our kits before, they're kind of fun because you get everything you need to make all the cards in the kit. You can kind of branch out and do your own thing if you want to step it up a little bit, or Stamp It Up provides you with the ideas and the instructions for how to make their ideas. And again, you get all the supplies you need for that except a pair of scissors. So if that interests you, head on over to my website, check those out. It's heathersides.stampitup.net. Normally I have a little printout on my desk with that information, and that's one of the things that fell through the cracks with my little nap today, so that did not happen. So again, it's heathersides.stampitup.net. And my email is stamphappenings@gmail.com. And also, you should be able to see my website address here on my Facebook page, facebook.com/stamphappenings. So anyway, let's get this camera turned around and award our prize for the week, and then we'll get going on our cards. This week I'm focusing on simplicity. You know, I think sometimes we get so caught up in making these really fancy, intricate designs, which is always a lot of fun, but we get kind of caught up in that, and we forget that sometimes simple cards can look just as good. You know, we forget that, oh, we don't want it to be too plain or boring, or you can still make simple cards that aren't plain or boring, and we're going to do that tonight. So turn the camera around and let's get going. Hang on just a second. Okay, now we spend some time just getting this all straightened out so that we're not all crooked, because you know I can't handle that when we're all crooked. Let's see. Wow, we're very crooked, aren't we? Oh, Lucy's gonna drive me crazy tonight with all that barking. Okay. All right. So this week's prize, I apologize, I can't remember the name of this paper. This is a paper that we awarded during Celebration a little while ago, and I put in there some of our glorious grape, or gorgeous grape little dots of various sizes. You can't see them really well in there. There we go. Some tiny ones up to bigger ones, and then some twine here. And I love this paper. I just think it's gorgeous. And this week's winner is John Hersey. John's a regular. He comes to us every week, and he is coming from Maine. So congratulations, John. I do have your address, so I will get this out in the mail to you. Welcome, Kathy. Let's see. I'm reading Marcia's comment. Oh, that's so funny. She says her grandson hears my dog barking and is looking at the TV to find him because I'm on the big screen. Yeah, it's Talina, another one. She's a friend of mine, and she watches this pretty regularly, and her cats like to watch me. So anyway, congratulations, John. And let's go ahead and get going with our cards this week. So this first card is using the set Biggest Wish. I love this set. It's my favorite greeting set. There's so many fun, different things you can do with it. And just a little hint, in our new September through December mini catalog, there's a set just like this with Christmas sentiments. So I'm so excited for that one because I love this set. And the card we're going to make is using our Countryside Inn Designer Series paper. You guys know that's my favorite one this year. And this is what we're going to make. So again, it's very, very simple, but it doesn't look boring, does it? So let's go ahead and get started on our card. And Lucy's going to drive me crazy. So the card base is just your standard 8.5 by 5.5 piece. It's a half of a sheet of basic white cardstock. It's scored in the middle at 4 1/4. You know, Marcia, what that kind of reminds me of, I was watching an interview with Colin Hanks. You know, he's an actor. He's Tom Hanks' son. And he was on the Ellen show. And Ellen asked, you know, his kids at the time of this interview were just the perfect age to be into the Toy Story movies. And she asked, you know, do they recognize Grandpa's voice as Woody in Toy Story? And he said, you know, it's really funny. They haven't quite put 2 and 2 together yet to really realize that that's Grandpa. But whenever they hear it, they pause and they stop and they listen. Like they know that sounds like Grandpa's voice, but they just don't make that connection yet. And I think that is so funny. Okay, so we're going to decorate the envelope with a piece of Designer Series paper. It's just 2.5 inches by 6 inches. We're going to take our liquid glue and just go right around the edge of the envelope flap. You want to get it as close as you can, but don't put it on too heavily. I know it looks heavier than it actually is on camera, because you don't want it to squish all out the edges and get all over your envelope. But if it does, just use your adhesive eraser to get it right off. That's not something Stampin' Up! Sells, but you can get one on on Amazon for just a couple bucks. Hey, Nikki, welcome. Hey, Kay, welcome. Okay, so anyway, we're just gonna put it on here just like this, and then line up our edges. Make sure the edge of the paper and the edge of the envelope are relatively the same. The other reason, I've said there's a couple reasons why you don't want to use too much glue. The other reason is because if you think about this totally makes sense. Glue is wet, and when paper gets wet, it does warp. So if you have too much glue on there, your paper starts to buckle. So just to help keep it neat and pretty, just make sure you don't use too much glue. And then we just go around. I always like to decorate my envelopes because I just think it's kind of fun when you get something in the mail that's already decorated on the outside. You just know there's going to be good stuff inside, right? And you know, to be honest, if they were thinking that people who bill us would do the same on theirs, because we'd be so excited to see that bill inside, right? Maybe? Okay, so the envelope is done. It's just that simple. And we've got a lot of little pieces here, but it still all goes together pretty quickly. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to do our stamping first. Then we're going to put all the pieces together and put them on our card. So you'll see how simple this is. So I've got just a little piece here of basic white. This particular one happens to be 2 3/4 by 1.5. And let me get my stamps out here. I've got the happy and the birthday, and the inks I'm using are boho blue and night of navy. And I'm going to take the boho blue and the happy, and I'm going to stamp this in the background. So I'm going to just try to center it on the paper here. Remember, we're going for centered-ish. If you're new here, you will soon learn we strive for ish, not perfection, here at Stamp Happenings. Hey, Mary, welcome. Okay, so now I'm going to put that ink pad away because we all know the kind of danger that is to me when I sit here and have an ink pad wide open, just calling for me to lay down in it. And take our night of navy and the cursive birthday. And I'm going to stamp it at a bit of an angle here. Now, something about the boho blue ink I want to show you. You know, at first that word birthday doesn't stand out quite as much. Oh, good. Kathy says she does ish really well. Good for you, Kathy. Okay. So anyway, what I'm saying though is the night of navy doesn't stand out quite as well. It still stands out, But if you notice, once it's had a chance to dry, the boho blue really does lighten as it kind of soaks into the paper. So that Night of Navy will stand out more as our ink dries. Okay, now let's get all of our pieces together. So now I have a piece of Night of Navy that is just 1/8 of an inch bigger than my piece of white. So it is 2 and 7/8 by 1 and 5/8. And we're going to piece these together with adhesive. I might run out of adhesive tonight and have to reload. That's okay. It's quick and easy to do. So now I'm going to put that right there. I've got this little strip and this little strip, and I know they're not the same length. That's okay. I just use scraps anyway. And I'm going to put a little strip of glue right here. And this Night of Navy strip is 1/2 of an inch. And the Designer Series paper strip here is 3/8 of an inch. Are you done barking, Lucy? Are you done? Little turkey. Okay. And I like to use liquid glue when I'm doing these little strips. One, because our adhesive is sometimes a little too thick. Our other adhesives are maybe a little too thick for the strip, but also because as I lay it down with the liquid glue, it takes just a little bit before it gets tacky, so I can slide this around a little to make sure I've got it centered where I want it. So now I also have, I'll do this one last. I've got these 2 pieces. These are all the different prints, are all from the same paper pack, Countryside Inn. And I don't know why I put the adhesive on the Night of Navy piece. Usually I put it on my Designer Series paper to make sure that I've got it somewhere where it's not going to show. I don't know what happened there, but that's okay. I got it where it's not going to show anyway, but it's kind of weird that I did it backwards. Okay, let's see here. Okay, got that one. And I've got this one. And to be honest, with this particular card, I can give you the measurements if you want them, but the measurements don't really matter all that much. Just because it's different sizes, different shapes, you can use scraps for this card. The only thing that really matters is to know that all of the matte pieces, the pieces in the background, so the Night of Navy, are 1/8 of an inch bigger than the Designer Series paper. Okay, now these are the ones that we're going to use to make this little banner. And we need to cut this little etched out piece, right? Here's how you do it. When I cut my paper, I did it just like the other ones so that the Night of Navy is 1/8 of an inch bigger than my Designer Series paper, right? Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put just a little bit of my adhesive, here it is, on the back, just to hold it in place. And then I'm going to take it all the way to the edge of the Night of Navy, where, normally if you were laying it on there just regular, you'd have your margin go all the way around, right? But to do this first step, you want the Designer Series paper to go right up to the edge of the Night of Navy. Now, to make that little notch, what we're going to do is you just cut in the middle, and then you go from the, okay, I have to put on my glasses. Golly, I do this every week. I need to remember to start in my glasses. Okay, so you go then from the corner down to the edge of that little bit that you just cut, that little slit. Ta-da! Cut those pieces off. Now you're going to peel this back off, which is why you only used a little bit of adhesive. You wanted to use enough adhesive that it stayed in place, but not so much that you couldn't peel it back off easily. Now we're going to go ahead and put a normal amount of adhesive on it. Okay, my dog is going to drive me bonkers. I have no idea what she's barking at out there, and she's been doing it all day long. Okay, so now we're going to lay it on there with that 1/8 of an inch margin like we normally would. There we go. And see, now we have our normal little margin down there, the little matte edge. And that's how you do that. Now let's just put it all together. So first we're going to take this little strip that we did and put it on the inside of the card. I like to decorate the inside of the card. I like the continuity, to be honest, the look of the continuity. Actually, let's go ahead and put the glue on here. I like the look of the continuity when you open the card and it follows through to the inside. So now we're going to just butt this right up to that crease where the fold is. I usually like to leave a little bit of a margin right here. Like here it's going to be white. If it was a different color card, obviously it'd be different. You don't have to. Sometimes I don't, but usually I like to. It just makes this little strip stand out a little bit more. And now we trim off the extra. There we go. Okay, now we're going to take this piece, this bigger one, and we're going to go ahead and put this one down. Now this one, if you want to know the measurements, the Night of Navy was 5 1/4 by 4, and the designer series paper was 5 1/8 by 3 7/8. Okay, and now we're going to put this one on. Now this one, let me see. She's been barking at something all day long. I don't know what it is. Jackson just came out here. Okay, so this piece, the Night of Navy, is 4 1/8 by 3 3/4. So our designer series paper is 4 by 3 5/8. I have to kind of do backwards math in my head. If you could get her to come inside and we'll shut the door, then maybe she'll put work in. When you're done there, no rush. Poor Jackson, he just woke up from a nap and I'm giving him all these instructions. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and try to center this. Remember, ish, strive for ish, not perfection. Centered-ish. Okay, now we're going to take the banner. We're going to glue it down. And this strip, by the way, was 3 5/8 by 1 3/8. And then the designer series paper was 3 1/2 that way by 1 1/2 that way. So now I'm just putting it on here. I'm kind of centering it on the centering it this way, like that, centered-ish. And finally, we're going to go ahead and put our sentiment on here. I'm going to use a few dimensionals. Just a reminder that I tend to go crazy with the number of dimensionals that I use. You don't have to use as many as I do. However, when you do get a package of them from Stampin' Up, you get quite a few. So don't be afraid to use as many as you think you need. I just don't like the piece to sag, so I try to put in as many as I think it needs to support it. Got my little garbage can here to tear off all the little backs. You feeling any better? Oh. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and put this on here. I'm centering it this way on this piece, but as far as left to right, I'm just kind of trying to get it so that it overlaps both the banner here and then also leaves a little bit of an edge here. So there's not any really specific positioning there except for being centered vertically. And that looks pretty straight to me. And then I've got my Tinsel Gems 3-pack, and it comes in, I think this is Misty Moonlight, this is Fresh Freesia, and this is probably Coastal Cabana, maybe? But anyway, we're going to use these, and I don't know if you can see very well. You can kind of see, I guess, on the camera. They've got little tiny sparklies inside, which is why they're called tinsel gems. I'm going to use my take your pick tool now and just put a few of these guys on here. There we go. And that card's done. I mean, really quick and simple, right? Good question. Robin asked if all that extra paper would make it weigh more than one stamp. No, it's not really that heavy. It's not very thick because I've only used one layer of dimensionals, so one stamp would work just fine on it. Good question. You know, John, teasing isn't very becoming of you. I'm just joking. You're so funny. Yeah, I probably could have really gone crazy and just done, you know, one edge to the other with the dimensionals, but, I was trying to be a little reserved there. Okay, so next in line, oops, well, let's go ahead and put some stuff away. So that was card number 1. Nice and easy, right? Quick, it's simple, but yet it's still a very elegant card, very pretty. I really love it. Okay, now let's move on to card number 2. Jackson got Lucy to come in and forgot to shut the door. So now she's back outside barking at the neighbors, whatever again. Okay, so another one of my sets that I am really loving this year, inked and tiled. This has a beautiful designer series paper that coordinates with it. We're not using that tonight, but I just wanted to remind you that it's there. I use it a lot, so I refrained from using it tonight. But it's a great stamp set. I really like it. And the card we're making, I got this one. I actually copied this idea from another demonstrator named Brandy Cox. I found this card on Pinterest. So remember, if you're lacking some inspiration, go to Pinterest. There are so many wonderful ideas there. And hey, while you're there, be sure to follow me, Stamp Happenings. Just look me up and you can follow me there. In fact, on all of the platforms, Instagram, Pinterest, YouTube, here on Facebook, look up Stamp Happenings and that's how you can find me. But isn't that a beautiful card? Very pretty, very simple. This time I stamped the envelope, so and there's the inside. So let's go ahead and get going on this card. And this one, to be honest, I didn't just case her card. Casing is copying and sharing. I didn't just case it. I literally copied this one exactly how she had it. So I want to make sure she gets full credit for the design. Okay. So the first thing, we've got our card base, same as the last card. It's a half of a sheet. It's 8.5 by 5.5, scored in the middle right there at 4 1/4 inches. Let's go ahead and get her folded. And then take the bone folder, get a nice sharp edge there. And then for the envelope, let's get all of our ink out here. Yes, John, Brandy does really make some beautiful cards. She's a very successful Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, and there's absolutely no doubt in my mind why that is. Okay, what color am I in? Oh, my boho blue. Here we go. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is stamp my envelope. I'm going to take my boho blue ink and a piece of scrap paper. I'm going to tuck it right there under the flap of the envelope so that I don't get ink anywhere else on my envelope. And I'm just going to randomly stamp these gorgeous little flowers all over the envelope. Make sure that you go over the, go off the edges sometimes. That just gives a smooth look. It looks a little bit more natural. There we go. Hey, big mouth. Hang on, I'm going to shut my door while she's in here. Okay, now I'll set my envelope aside while we work on the rest of the card. Now here, I'm going to take the pebbled path. By the way, all 4 of these colors that I'm using are part of our new in colors this year. There's 5 colors in every set of in colors. We've always got 2 sets. They're good for 2 years. So like we introduced a set last year that was in there last year, and it'll be there this year, and then at the end of this year it will retire. And then this year we introduced a second set that'll be in there this year and next year, and then it retires. So there's always a new set coming out each year. The one color that's missing from here is copper coral, but all the rest of these are part of that collection from this year. Okay, so now I'm taking this stamp, this beautiful flower. I never would have thought to stamp this flower with kind of a gray ink, but it really, you know, it's just in the background, so it looks really cool. So I'm letting the bottom edge of the stem kind of go off the card, and I'm letting the left side go off the card just a little bit. Remember, this is just going to be in the background. They're not even going to see the whole thing. Now I'm kind of doing a little bit of an angle, and as I go down, I'm making the flowers be just a little bit lower than the one before it. Just like that. I'll clean up this stamp really well. I'm taking just a little bit of extra time to really clean this off because the next color that I'm going to use this stamp for is the Berry Burst. I don't want Berry Burst for that. I want the mauve. Wrong one. There we go. Moody Mauve. And because it is a lighter color, I want to make sure to get all that gray off because I don't want to make my gray too dark. I mean my mauve too dark. So I'm just doing what I can to make sure that I really get it off all those little nooks and crannies. Okay, I'm going to set this aside for just a moment, and I'm also going to close this because I'm not going to need this color again. Now on the inside of the card, one thing I forgot to do when I was stamping my little blue flower, it's because I don't want a blue flower on the inside. Okay, bear with me as I get my bearings here. Moody Mauve. Now something I found interesting, this is another color that really kind of changes as it absorbs into the paper. You'll see when I stamped it, it looked a lot more like a rust color, a little more like our copper coral, not copper coral, our, holy cow, what's it called? Copper clay. And in fact, the little gem I have on there is a copper clay gem because it just matched a little bit better. But I'm noticing today as I look at it, it's a lot pinker today than it was when I stamped it last night. So just something to keep in mind when you are stamping your colors. Okay, so now we're going to do this big flower again. Ink her up with the Moody Mauve. And I'm putting it off to the left a little here, but not off the edge of the left, but it is going off the edge a little bit at the bottom. So the bottom of the stem goes off the edge, but the left side of the flower does not. Again, you can kind of see here the difference in the colors, how much darker the one that I just stamped is. I guess you can't see it too much on the camera, but you can see a little bit. I was kind of concerned about it last night because I thought, that doesn't look very mauve. But as you can see, as it soaks into your paper, absorbs into your paper a little bit, it does lighten up quite a bit. So just cleaning off this little stamp real quick. By the way, I use our Simply Chamois. That's what it's called. It is one of the best stamp cleaners I've found. When I used to stamp in another lifetime. I was a demonstrator, and we used to have Stamp and Scrub, and it was a little bristly thing that was great for cleaning stamps. And I kind of held on to that, and I didn't really want to try the chamois because what I had was working, and why mess with what's working? But I did finally give in and try the chamois, and I love it. I absolutely love it. Okay, let's try to find the stamp. Lucy, leave it alone. It's funny. Boho Blue is apparently Lucy's favorite color. How do I know that? Because I have a paper unit that I keep all my papers in. It's basically like a mailbox, that they have in offices where everybody has a little slot for their mail. And I use that for all my different colors of paper. Each paper
has its own slot. And she keeps stealing the boho blue. She can get to any one of the colors, and that's the one she chooses to steal every single time. Okay, now here, what I'm doing is the bottom of my stem is going to line up with the bottom of the other stem, but I don't want it to go off the edge of my paper like this. You can see how it's going to go off the edge of my paper. So make sure you tilt it enough that the whole thing is on there, but you still want that stem lined up with the stem of the first flower. Oh, I got a little ugly there. Let's see what we can do to fix that. Okay. And what causes that is sometimes if you press too hard as you're inking the stamp, then you get the ink on the edges here. And then what happens is if you press too hard when you're actually stamping it on your paper, now you're pressing that edge down onto the paper that has the ink on it. So you want to press firmly, but not too hard, because that's what happens when you do it too hard. Okay, next we've got this little flower again. Let's put away our blue. We're gonna use the wild wheat. No, I shut the door because you keep barking at the neighbors. And I'm gonna put it right here in the corner. Oh, and that covered up that little blue ugly that I had, so that's just fine. I also am going to stamp this on the inside, just to give a little something on the inside of my card. Okay, let's put her together now. So this piece of boho blue is 3 1/4 by 4 1/2. So this is 1/8 of an inch smaller. So it is 3 1/8 by 4 3/8. Okay. Now, those of you, I know several of you guys are also Stampin' Up! Demonstrators. What did you guys think about the new September to December mini catalog? What are your thoughts? We're going to go ahead and just glue this right down. Personally, I'm not a huge fan of Christmas, so this particular seasonal catalog doesn't usually do a lot for me because it's so many Christmas sets. But you know what? Even with that in mind, get this on here centered-ish. Even with that in mind, I love this catalog. I even really love a lot of the Christmas sets. I think Stampin' Up! Really knocked it out of the park this time. And I said that about the annual catalog this year as well. So this year, Stampin' Up! Is on fire with the catalogs. Robin says she loves this one. Tanya says it's not speaking to her, but she did find a few things she doesn't want to have to live without. You know, and that's the way it is. Sometimes I'll get the catalog and say, yeah, nothing really calls me, and that's okay. It won't always. John is going to lose a lot of money with this catalog, apparently, because it's going to cost him a lot to meet all of his needs. And, you know, that's a good point, because if you are a stamper at all and you are not a demonstrator, you need to be, because we have demonstrators of all different levels. Robin's going to lose a lot of money on this catalog too. We have demonstrators of all levels, but when I say levels, what I mean is how active you want to be. Do you want to do videos like I do? Do you want to create a little business and have sales? Or do you just want to do your own thing and get your own products at a discount? Any of that, anywhere in between, Stampin' Up! Is so amazing and supports that. So if you are a stamper, the best discount you can get is to actually sign up and get the demonstrator discount. So if that's something that interests you, you can find out more information about it on my website, heathersides.stampinup.net, or you can contact me and I can answer any questions that you have, and then you can sign up right there online. Okay, so now last step for this card is I'm going to take our 2023 to 2025 in color dots, and you can see This is the dilemma I had last night. This color right here is the Moody Mauve gems or dots. And compared to the card there, trying to get it to line up right. This one is the Copper Clay, and I just felt like this color was really sort of in between the two. And I felt like the Moody Mauve was too pink right there. So I actually used a Copper Clay dot. So I'm using the small one, and I'm just putting it right here at the bottom of the flower. I'm also going to take one of the Boho Blue, and I'm going to put it right here at the bottom, whoops, at the bottom of the leaf. And then I'm taking the Wild Wheat, and I'm putting it in the center of the flower, but not in the center piece here, but not dead center of that. Just made it off center a little bit. There we go. And that's card number 2. It's nice and simple. Brandy Cox designed that. Isn't that beautiful? And all 3 of these colors, as you can see, as they absorb into the paper, the color does shift just a little bit, but it's absolutely gorgeous when it does. Joyce is also a fan of this new mini catalog. Okay, and finally, you know what, guys? It is only 6:48, and we are about to do our final card. Can you believe it? Now, this one does take a little bit more time than the other 2, but it's still a pretty simple card. For this one, I'm going to use my Stylish Shapes dies. I use these almost every single week. If you have our cutting and embossing machine and you don't have these dies, I really recommend getting them because they're so versatile. You'll use them a ton. If you don't have a cutting and embossing machine, I really recommend thinking about investing in one. They are a little more expensive, but they're not out of control expensive. And boy, they make things like just a simple circle, simple square, so easy. So we're using the Stylish Shapes dies, and we're using the Sweetest Cherries stamps. I've got a couple more stamp sets ordered and on the way, so I'm excited to share some new ones with you guys when they get here. And here's the card that we're using. We're using the Bright and Beautiful Designer Series paper. And here we go, Birthday Wishes. See, this is just pretty simple little card. There's the inside. And whenever I have a colored card base. You know, my first 2 were white, but whenever I have a colored card base, I do like to put a piece of white on the inside to write on. You could still write on this color and it would be seen very well with a black or blue pen. But I just like the finished look of a white piece in there. That's just my own personal taste. Okay, now what we're going to do is we've got our card base, another standard card base, 8.5 inches by 5.5 inches, scored right there in the middle at 4 1/4. Hey, Teresa, welcome. Okay, so got my card base done there. Let's go ahead and do our envelope at the inside of our card first. So for the envelope, I'm again putting Designer Series paper on there. It's just a strip that is 2.5 inches by 6 inches. A little bit of glue around the edge. Okay. And again, make sure the edge of your paper lines up with the edge of your envelope. This is one of the reasons I like to use the liquid glue when I do this. It allows me to kind of slide this around for a moment before it starts to get tacky. The other reason I like the liquid glue for this is because it does allow me to get up in those little corners a little easier than our seal adhesive. I couldn't think of what it's called. And the closer you can get to the edge, then of course, the better this piece of paper is going to stay down. Thank you, Marcia. And Joyce says she ordered the Stylish Shapes because of me. Oh, good. I'm glad for once I was a good influence. I'm going to call and tell my mom that. Oh my gosh, guys. I've been dealing with my neck, and I had to visit the surgeon to start the process of getting surgery scheduled, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, he was talking about, the risks of surgery and all that. And he called me skinny. I wanted to get up and kiss the man. I don't think anybody's ever called me that in my entire life. Some of you may know this, some may not. About 20 years ago, I had weight loss surgery. I was about 300 pounds when I did it. And I now weigh less than the amount that I have lost. And so it was very exciting to me. It was the first time in my life anyone's ever called me skinny. It was awesome. Okay, so there's our envelope. You guys, this is so quick and easy. You guys have seen me just whip it out right there, and how easily I did it. I really recommend doing it. Just adds that little something extra to your card. Okay, so this piece is what's going to go on the inside, basic white. It is 5 1/4 by 4. And here I have 3 strips. So I've got, this one is 3/8 of an inch. This one is 1/2 an inch. And then this one is 5/8 of an inch. And we're just going to layer them. So this is the smallest one. So I'll start by putting the glue on this piece. And again, this designer series paper all comes from the Bright and Beautiful pack. Those sheets are 6 by 6, and you get like 48 of them or something like that. You get a lot of them. Okay. Okay. And now, which one's longer here? Okay, so now I'm going to put a little bit of glue on this piece. This is Berry Burst, by the way, and the green is Lemon Lime Twist. Lemon Lime Twist was an in color a little while back, and when they did the color refresh this year, they brought it back. Most of the colors that they added this year in our base color palette, core color line, I guess what they call it, the core line, most of them used to be an in color that was brought back because people loved it so much. There are a couple that are completely new. Just sliding this around a little bit to get it centered the way I want it. And now I'm going to put a little strip of glue right here along the bottom. Line it up there, and then just trim off the extra. A lot of times for pieces like this, I'm just using scraps, so that's why they're all different lengths. But make sure you use up your scraps. Don't waste them. Okay, I'm going to be brave and let the dog out because I'm dying of a heat stroke. That probably didn't make sense. It's because I leave the door open, which helps it to cool off in here. Okay, let's see here. Now we're going to glue this to the inside of the card. I heard a great line in a movie today. I was streaming Guardians of the Galaxy, the 3rd one, and this one little creature who didn't really know a lot of words yet was asking if this other creature knew how to talk, but she said, "Does he word?" And I love that. Does he word? Okay, so centered-ish on the inside of your card. And I love how that Berry Burst just pops with that lemon lime twist. Okay, now let's go ahead and we're going to work on the front. It's not very often that I do not put some sort of a centerpiece on here. And so I look at the card and it feels a little naked to me, but I still really like it. It just takes a little getting used to. So I had some scraps here. A little strip here. I don't even know what the widths are because, again, they were just scraps. This one I think is 1/4 of an inch though. And this one here is 3/4 of an inch. I do know that one. And then of course I have the circle that I cut out with my dies. Let's go ahead and stamp that first. So we've got the cherry and the stem and the little pieces of the leaf. And then we also have birthday wishes. Let's get our Berry Burst ink and our lemon lime twist. Okay, and I'm going to stamp the little cherry right here at kind of the bottom center. Yeah. It's not super solid looking there. I didn't ink up my stamp very well, but it'll be fine. And then, actually while I have this out, let's go ahead and stamp the sentiment, the birthday wishes. And I'm going to go ahead and center it on this piece. This piece was 3 inches long. There we go. Set that aside for the moment, and I'm going to put this ink pad away. Now get our lemon lime twist. Now the edge of my stem is going to go off this circle, but if I use the next size up of the circle, it was just too big and I didn't like how that looked. So it does go off the edge, but I don't care. And then I've got the leaf. And you can have it go up or down. I think I'm gonna have it go down so that it all fits on the circle. And then this little stamp is the veins in the leaf. And even though I'm using the same color, because it's solid line, or these lines versus the flat solid surface, it shows up a little bit darker. And you can kind of see that. So it's very subtle, but you can see those lines in there. Okay, now we're going to do some fun little things here. This piece we're going to leave as is. These 2 pieces we're going to cut notches in one end, just like I showed you guys how to do on that one other card. So you cut a little slit down the middle, and then you just cut from corner to corner, or from corner to the bottom of the slit. So there's one. We're going to do this one too. Okay, and then on the banner where we have our sentiment, I'm going to do both ends. Oops. That a little farther in than I would have liked, a little close to my B, but that's okay. Okay, now just get rid of my little garbage pieces here so they're out of the way. And all I did is I just kind of lined these up, figured out how did I want them lined up. So about like that, I think. So I'm just putting a little bit of glue right there. And I'm going to put that on there. Go for straightish, ish. And then this piece is a little bit tricky. Flip this over, and I'm just doing a little bit of glue right about here. And I want it centered so it looks right. So if you just turn it over quickly before it starts to get tacky, then you can slide that strip around a little bit to make sure it's where you want it. And now we're just going to glue it onto the card. Since I have my liquid glue out, I'll just use that. And I'm just going to put it right about here. I want the berry burst strip to be centered on the front of the card. It's 4 inches long, and remember the card is 4.25 inches wide. So I chose that to be what anchors the card, what centers it. So got that. And now, see, that's going to bug me how that's sticking up a little bit there. Wouldn't bug anybody else in the world but me. So I'm just going to put a tiny little bit of glue under there. Oh, see how my glue sticks up, came popping out because I put a little too much. I'm going to hold it there, let it get tacky. When it dries, I'll just erase it off. You guys have seen me do that a million bazillion times. Let's see here. Get a little bit there and a little bit there. Okay. Oh, look at this. I got a little bit green on there. Let's see if we can get that off. That might be a little too much to get off with a sand eraser, but we're sure going to try. Sand eraser is another product that I absolutely love. It is not a Stampin' Up! Product. I just bought mine on Amazon. I think it was about $4. I think it might be. It's really useful when you have just a tiny little bit of ink, but that might be too much. So we may just have to live with that. But again, we don't strive for perfection here, so. Okay, it's not going to all come off. So I'm just going to leave it. Now I'm going to take some dimensionals, probably about 100 of them, because you know me. And I'm going to put them on the back of this little circle. Oh, Lucy, you're driving me nuts. Normally, I mean, she likes to bark, but she doesn't bark this much. And she's definitely, I've watched her, and she's barking at something. No idea what it is. So I'm going to take all the backs off of these dimensionals. And I'm just going to put this right here. Kind of centered, it's kind of centered horizontally, but not necessarily vertically. Have it overlap both tags. There we go. And then we're going to take our birthday wishes. We're going to put some dimensionals on the back of this as well. And you really could make your banner bigger and do any one of the sentiments in this stamp set if you wanted to do that. And I put it at a bit of an angle here, like that. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my little bow jig. Again, not a Stampin' Up! Product, but there's all different bow makers out there. You can find them on Amazon. You can find them in all different places. And I'm using it. Normally I just tie my bows regular, but in this case I wanted to do a triple bow. So I find that the bow jig is very useful for that. And this twine, by the way, that I am using is Baker's twine. I kept the pack out because I wanted to show you. It comes with all 5 of the in colors that came out last year. It's the 2022 to 24 in color Baker's twine pack. I can't recall how much it is. It's fairly inexpensive, and you get all 5 of these colors. It's great. Okay, so we've got our bow. And I do like to just separate out my little loops a little bit. Like so. Just makes it a little fluffier. And then I'm going to take a glue dot, take my Take Your Pick tool. Now the knot on my bow is a little bit smaller because Baker's twine is small. Is narrow. So I just kind of roll it up. I don't know if you could really see that on the camera, but I roll it up so it's like a little tiny log, sort of. And I put it right there on the back of the knot of my bow. You got to stay there with the bow, buddy. And I just put it here on the corner of my little banner. And I do want to leave these long, but maybe not this long. So let's cut them right about here, I think. There we go. And then I'm just going to put a few gems on here. Now here's what's really funny. So I was trying to decide which gems to use. And I completely forgot that I had the 2023 to 25 in color dots that have, this is the Moody Mauve, but it matches really, really well with the Berry Burst. Now I didn't have enough of the colors I wanted, or the sizes that I wanted to do 2 cards, but these would have worked really well, but I forgot that I had them. So I got out my Glossy Dots assortment. And as you can see, looking at these were just a little bit pinker than what I wanted. I wanted them a little bit darker. So what I did is I took my Cherry Cobbler Stampin' Blend marker and I colored on a few of these. And you can sort of see they're just slightly darker. Like here, the bigger ones, maybe it's easier to see. This one right here is not colored. This one is. So there's not a huge difference, but then when I put them down here on the paper, you can kind of see how the darker one just matches a little bit better. So that's what I did. So don't forget that you can use your Stampin' Blends to adjust the colors of the embellishments that you have. I almost said the embezzlements. I'm an accountant. I use weird terms. Let's see. Let's put that right there. And then I've got a couple smaller ones. Put one right there. And put that right there. There. Okay, so that was card number 3. See, again, another very simple card. And there we have it. So 3 simple cards. Let's clean up the mess and we'll take a look at everything that we made tonight. If you enjoyed what we did, I love it when you guys give me hearts and thumbs up and all that good stuff. It boosts my ego. It's very good for me. But also it does help to tell the algorithm, hey, people like this, and other people may want to watch it, and so they get my name out there a little bit better. So I really appreciate it when you do that. And hey, Judy, I see you came in a little bit late tonight. Welcome, welcome. Tanya says she hadn't thought about coloring the dots with Stampin' Blends. Oh yeah, I color my embellishments all the time. So don't forget you can do that. And then also Joyce asked, was Guardians of the Galaxy worth the watch? Yes. In fact, I kind of almost liked it better than the other ones. I think maybe the storyline wasn't as good as the other ones, but some of the dialogue was great. There were some really great things in there. Like I said, like the one where the one character asked, does he word? Things like that. I just loved it. So yeah, definitely worth the watch. Okay, so let's take a look at what we made tonight. We've got our sweetest cherries right here. And our inked and tiled. And then of course we have our Countryside Inn right there. Some great cards, keeping it simple. And you know, like I said, I know that I sometimes get really caught up in needing to add all the things and make the card all the stuff because I don't want it to be boring or plain. But you can see, you can keep your card simple and it's not going to be boring or plain. So if you would like to take advantage of any of the specials we have going on, find out more about joining Stampin' Up, add to your own stock of things that you need, I would love to earn your business. You can go to my website. It is Stampin' Up. Or I'm sorry, gosh, my website is heathersides.stampinup.net. Normally I have a host code here for you guys to use. I did not get that printed up yet, but I will be doing that after this live. So take a look at my Facebook page. I'll have the host code there for you. The host code helps me to continue to provide you with these videos for free, the prizes, that kind of thing. But if your order is over $150, no judgment here. If your order is over $150, don't use the host code because you'll have some free things coming to you from Stampin' Up. I want to make sure that you are the one who gets those free things? And also, if you earned last month, we had a special where when you spent $50 for every 50 you spent, you got a $5 coupon from Stampin' Up! To use this month. And I just want to remind you to use those this month because they do expire. So I hope you guys had a great night. As always, this is my favorite night of the week. I love spending time with you guys. Thank you, Tanya. That's very, very kind of you. I really enjoy our time together. So I hope to see you guys back here, same time, same place, 6 p.m. at Stamp Happenings next week. See you guys.